Your Excellency, the wife of the Executive Governor of Kebbi State, Dr. Zainab Shinkafi Babuju, Your Excellency, the representative of the UN offices here, Mr. Edward Kalong, the UN Women Representative, Madam Comfort Lamberti, representative of the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, Mrs. Tope Bangboe, representative of UNFPA, BPW, development partners, civil societies, media, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to be with you today, distinguished members of the press, for our usual interaction of the commemoration of the 2018 16 Days Activism on Ending Gender-Based Violence. As you're aware, the 16 Days of Activism to End Gender-Based Violence campaign is observed globally with the sole objective of bringing to the fore the dismantling of systems and practices that exacerbate violence against women and girls. The theme for this year's campaign is Hear Me Too, which aims to amplify the voices of women and girls from all walks of life to be heard and protected from all forms of violence. As you're aware, in Nigeria, gender equality is widespread due to patriarchy, imbalance in socio-economic opportunities, cultural and religious factors, and inadequate enabling legal and policy frameworks, among many others. The violence or its threat that women and girls face is a consistent trend in our society, ranging from domestic violence, traditional harmful practices, fear of standing for elected offices, sexual harassment of girls and young women, and even older women, among others, with consequences that constrain women's autonomy and life chances. Statistics indicate that 1 in 3 of all women aged between 15 and 24 years have been a victim of violence, and in 5 have experienced physical violence in Nigeria. The Federal Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, with support from development partners, especially UN Women, UNFPA, UNICEF, have continuously worked in collaboration to ensure that gender-based violence is eradicated in Nigeria. Part of the ministry's effort is the strategic high-level advocacy sensitization programs organized with the relevant agencies responsible for the eradication of gender-based violence in Nigeria. The launch of the campaign on ending child marriage and He for She Champions is a demonstration of this, by Mr. President, is a demonstration of this administration's commitment to preventing and eradicating gender-based violence at all levels. Thus, in collaboration with the Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption Committee, which is a British High Commission project, we are working to ensure the domestication and implementation of the VAP Act in FCT, Lagos, Ekiti, Kano, and Anambra states as Phase 1. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to quickly remind you the objectives of this year's commemoration. First, we want to amplify the voices of diverse women movements across Nigeria working to prevent and end violence against women and girls and build up on the work done since the last celebration. We're also here to advocate for specific changes within institutions and workplaces, including within the UN system, private sector organizations, educational institutions, security sector institutions, civil society, organizations, and governments to promote gender equality and end violence against women and girls. To increase access of reporting mechanisms to survivors of sexual and gender-based violence through awareness raising and increased collaboration between state and non-state actors. Encourage relevant agencies to step up the campaign in their respective organizations. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as part of the activities to mark this global event, the following activities have been earmarked to be undertaken during this period. This media briefing is 1. Lighting up the city gate to create awareness and visibility with orange, the official color of the campaign. Official launch of a programming guide on preventing violence against women. National symposium and ending gender-based violence in the political process. We focus on female politicians and the 2019 general elections in Nigeria. TV and radio programs and social media campaign. Visit to the IDPs to talk on violence against women. Provision of orange ribbons and t-shirts in selected schools in the FCT. and the consultative meetings with male champions and official launch of the He for She campaign in Borno and Yobe states. I thank you all for being a part of this campaign. God bless our women, God bless our girls, and God bless Nigeria. Amen.
Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you very much, the Honorable Minister, Double Minister. Thank you. We're going to have an interactive session with the media, questions and answers. If you want some measure of clarification, or you want some other things to be said, or questions that you want to ask. Or moving on, if there are people here who would want to share their thoughts very briefly, would like you to do that.
Honorable Minister and all the members of the podium, my name is Francisca Oga from ITV Abuja. Now my question is, for the past 3 years or thereabout, I have been part of events like this where sensitizations go on, and we carry the message back to the women out there through our various mediums. Sometimes they get in touch with us, victims of domestic violence, and then we are at a loss what to do. Sometimes we report, there's no safe haven for them. You tell a woman you're being battered, leave your home. To where? Some of them don't work. They don't have any source of income. How do we expect them to survive? So my question is, what is the UN Women? What is the Ministry of Women Affairs? What is everybody that's advocating doing to provide safe spaces for those who find themselves at the receiving end of domestic violence?
Thank you very much for your question. I'm also going to ask the Permanent Secretary to help me out. But I know we have 2 safe houses, one in Kuru. Yes, Kurudu, and then that is still up and is going. But we have another functional one that has been fully equipped and is receiving a lot of women who have had issues. We also have provisions for counseling. We do counseling for both the male and the female. In the ministry, we have the capacity to do that. But oftentimes, we find that a lot of the times there's a tendency to want to go back, and we're still trying to, it's still work in progress. Women who have been cancelled and are back on their feet tend to go back to their husbands, perhaps due to family pressures and so on. But yes, we do have safe houses, and yes, we do counseling for them. We provide them with medical facilities. We also empower those who want to go into empowering with some kind of training and so on. But the PAMSEC, I don't know if I've said everything or you want to add.
In addition to what the Honorable Minister said, we also have some credit facilities for women that are actually interested in some entrepreneurship activities, just to make sure that they get back on their feet. This is in addition to what the Honorable Minister said.
Thank you very much.
Of the other persons are actually highlighted, and Nigeria is also a signatory to so many regional and international conventions on the rights of the persons with disability. Thank you very much.
Any more, please? Comments? Right. Yes, there's a microphone flying around. Please, can you make it as short as possible?
Okay,
and precise?
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Good evening, Honorable Minister. I'd like to ask, at what point should a woman leave due to violence in the home? At what point would you advise?
That's a very tough question. Women, we have a very, very high threshold. We can tolerate and tolerate and tolerate. But women all have different thresholds. Some of us can take abuse, some of us can take physical violence, and some of us can just take mental torture. It's really up to the woman when she feels she's had enough. Our own advice is that do not think you're the victim. Do not think that there's anything wrong with you. Do not think that you don't have anyone that would listen to you. You do not deserve to be beaten in your own home. So if you need to seek help and counseling, you should do it even before you decide what to do with your life. What I'm trying to say is that find out why you're being beaten, find out what you can do if you're beaten.
It's a question that we have issues with in Nigeria, not just with regards to gender-based violence, but with most things. The helplines do not exist. When they do, they don't work all the time. Child abuse, cancer helplines, and so on. But we do have them, and the important thing to do is to know the resources that you have available in your area. So this is why we like members of the media to help us to find out those resources and to disseminate it amongst the particular group. But sometimes it's not the typical or the expected resource that you will go for. It could be to your local church, it could be to your local malam in the area. There are all sorts of community influencers that you can seek help from. For instance, a sister in the rural parts of Nigeria, in the village, even if she has a telephone, it's not going to be very useful beyond just talking to somebody to get some emotional support from. That person on the other end of the phone is not going to be able to solve her problems in that village. You need to reach out to your support structure in that locality that you are. And by this, of course, the religious leaders, the traditional rulers, the expected people in positions of authority. They could be male, they could be female, but it's important to always know, or your family members, there's always somebody. The important thing is, like the Honorable Minister said, talk. Just talk. Even if you're not leaving, talk and let somebody hear you before it gets beyond anything we can do, beyond something we can do something about.
And a number of our primary health centers in a lot of the rural and local areas, local governments are equipped with counseling rooms where such cases can be attended to. So please go to the primary health centers. The ministries of women affairs in all the states also have capacities, but I also understand there will be the challenges of reaching out there, but they also have facilities to attend to you.
Well, we would coordinate with UN Women and share some of these safe centers that actually people can go in and report. A lot of times people don't say anything. But before we end this, I'd just like to share with you, colleagues, that I actually met a 32-year-old girl about 4 weeks ago on my show. She came on the show for the first time in her life. She was speaking out to have been sexually abused by her brother-in-law. And the sister would not believe. So we need, please, when we treat these stories, to be careful with the victims. We should actually do a lot of more concentration on the perpetrators of this crime. Oftentimes, they are not seen and heard, the perpetrators. It is the victims, and that's where our lenses go. And I think we should widen the perspective of our lenses and our writing to see it also from the lenses of these victims and be able to record their stories and say their stories and give it the prominence that it deserves. We are in it together, the media and the rest of us. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts, and I'm afraid I said the last question.
This is for all our girls and our women, and we're all here to support each other, to end the violence against women. It happens to all of us, and we have nowhere to go. And this orange color that we're about to light is our cry that we're here, and we're here, we're human, and hear me too.
Thank you very much. Lois, can you please come for the group photograph?